Hello and welcome to Casting Roles, where a bunch of theater nerds and good friends play a little D&D. We're so happy that you've joined us. Take a moment to subscribe to the show. It takes just a click and gains our unending thanks. Drop us a like and leave us a comment to help us hype up Campaign 2. Our videos are uploaded on our YouTube channel every Friday. We have tons of great content to explore. We're down to Lucky tonight as they recover from a closing night of their show. And there will not be a new episode next week, but look for a talkback dungeons and downtime to fill in the gap. But without further ado, let's go ahead and start the show. Last time, our crew of adventurers found yourselves deep within the mountain of Maqda on the hunt to end the curse afflicting the Shapers of Stone. In your excursion, you stumbled across a mysterious and unimaginably ancient ruin bearing carvings of strange and terrifying entities. There you discovered a piece of zephyrsite and fought off some spiders who, upon death, dropped some black goo. Naturally, you followed the goo as it raced deeper into the mountain, where you discovered the true Heart of Stone, a vast vein of zephyrsite running through the mountain and a curse-like energy pouring from somewhere within the chamber. As you investigated, you were attacked by the spider broodmother and her offspring. Nearly losing Andalus, who was too heavy to carry away from where he fell. You defeated the spiders and are now in the moments after catching your breath. So, what would you all like to do?
First of all, did the goo leave the broodmother after we killed her, or did it stay there?
So as the final blow from Bravik happens, and kind of the ichor that was sticking to the broodmother falls off, and it doesn't race away like it had with the small spiders going towards the mother, but it does start pulling towards the object that you saw in the exit chamber.
Yeah, we're going to want to check that out.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see the goo making its way towards like an effigy or...
Yeah, so what you spied in the kind of the tunnel that leads out of this chamber to open air beyond is a almost like a totemic structure made from the skulls of small animals, it looks like, maybe, with some carvings and runic design on it. And it's the thing that's giving off the energy that Bonnie picked up on last time. Lucky will tap you, Andalus, and cast Lesser Restoration on you. So
the Andalus is still down. Okay.
Yeah. Hello. That's so happened.
The paralysis effect of the poison fades.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Thank you.
Feeling all right there, Lucky? Or Andalus?
Yeah. It's just and he's just poison. Like, he just looks like kind of shaken up about it.
We're all pretty worried. I think your chicken was pretty worried as well, but...
Yeah, I could still hear. I look at Dottie.
Dottie is a fierce warrior and should not be mocked.
Dottie kind of looks at you and just goes, and just says, kind of under their breath in your direction, "What did you want me to do about it?"
Well, it's fine. You have your own agency, so you can do what you want.
Well, I guess since we're all back on our feet, what the
Should
heck
I
is
crush
that thing?
this effigy?
Josh, what do I know about the thing?
Okay.
For dismantling it.
Yeah, you can go ahead and move towards the effigy and roll a nature or arcana check.
Yeah. Let me check it out before any of you
I will
touch it.
Nope, not proficient in either one of those, so can't help.
Arcana 17.
Okay. So as you approach it, the feeling of unease coming off of it even picked up here, Andalus, by you as you move towards it. It seems to be like a vole skull and maybe a large rat and maybe a bat or something. 3 skulls stacked on top of each other. There are diminutive antlers, like perhaps from a small deer or a juvenile deer, coming off of the sides. And there are intricate carvings going along all of the lines on the skull. So where the fusing of the bone plates are, along those lines on the skull are intricate, detailed carvings that seem to have been then blacked in with some kind of soot or ash. And in each of the sockets of the eyes of the 3 creatures are small gems that are onyx in color and kind of are giving off light a little bit just from the arcane nature of this. For you, there is something slightly familiar about the design of this. It is not exactly like the magic that you recognize from your own work or from things that you've seen in the past, but it's almost as if like perhaps somebody learned some of that magic and then were applying their own to it. And with that in mind, you get the sense that severing the connection between 2 of the skulls would probably sever the runic network here. And these are all tied together with a reddish cord that's looping in and out of like the sockets and going up and forming kind of a spiral around each of the skulls.
Okay. I'll let Kieran know that since he's good at chop things.
Well, blunt weapons against skeletons. Always go with the classic approach.
You do know, Andalus, that shattering it may not be a good idea.
No.
As
only
oftentimes it holds a spell, and to shatter would release in a recursive way.
Don't worry, I got it. I'll like thorn whip out and I'll take my sickle and I'll cut it. Okay, yeah. So you take your sickle and you find a little bit of the cording and you cut it, and you just hear this like light wailing sound as you see the light energy race up the runes and then just kind of vanish. I'll hold
my gem out.
Yeah, in a black like a black smoke, and the smoke wails as it goes, and then it vanishes, and you just have a structure. You just have the totem here now that is it lacks its power. Behind you, the goo stops moving and then just begins to seep into the ground and dissipate.
What the bloody hell was that?
I kind of don't want to know.
Nasty stuff.
Does anyone, let's see, languages that we speak that are not common.
Sure.
Deep speech.
Not deep speech.
Primordial?
Not primordial.
I speak Sylvan.
Okay. No. Okay. Yep. So there's the runes are written in a language that you don't recognize.
I'll just jot them. I'll jot them down. Yeah. If you're gonna jot them down.
I mean the device is now inactive, so you could take it with you if you'd like. It's only about it's like the size of. I mean, it's 3 small rodent skulls, so it's like about this big.
We should probably bring it back to the village so they know what to look out for if this happens again.
My question is, who put it here? Survival check to see if I see any tracks not made by us going towards the opening.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Anybody else looking for anything in the room or checking the body of the spider or anything?
That's a natural 8, so that's going to be a 10.
A 10. So it's difficult in the like the rocky structure here to see tracks. There is evidence of like the natural dust of the cavern space being brushed aside, but it's difficult for Kieran to know whether it was just like the dragging body of a spider doing that, or if it was something else.
Does the opening look like it's been there a long time, or that it's a fairly recent like cave-in or something, exposing something that was hidden for a while?
So if you travel down into the opening a little bit, the opening seems to be old, just as old as the chamber is. Not like it wasn't pickaxe or anything like that. But further down into the chamber, you can see evidence of a cave-in or something, so that perhaps this wasn't maybe always open to the air outside. So it's difficult to see or tell how long ago that happened, but it makes sense that the giants didn't know about this if it is a more recent thing.
Right. Face spider. Any useful body parts? Andulicite, Bonnie.
Huh?
Lucky. Poison sac.
Yeah, I can. I'll check it.
Make a survival check, Landis, if you want to collect the spinnerets and the
I'll help.
and the poison sacks.
And I am proficient in survival, so
23.
Okay, so you are carefully able to collect the spinnerets as well as two probably fist-size poison glands from above its fangs. If you want to take the fangs, you can take those as well. Lucky, as you are Andalus, as you're carving through and collecting the parts, the body is shifting a little bit, and you see the glint of yellow, like gem or something, that seems to have fallen from the creature or came out of the creature at some point and is just underneath its body.
Yeah, I'll grab that.
Okay. You have 3 small pieces of yellow gem. They look like they maybe came from a much larger piece of gem that it was shattered or something, like slivers of 3
kind of
gems.
like this piece of gem that they see if they go with.
Yeah, Kieran holds up the one, and they're very similar. They look like they were all from the same type of origin.
Sure, I'll give it to you, Kieran, so you can have them all together.
Great.
We got one that looks similar to that as well. So
Ravik has one as well. Yeah.
Let's see if we can put them all together, because from watching Land of the Lost and what they did with those stones, nothing bad can happen, like getting electrocuted or anything.
What's Land of the Lost? I've never.
Oh boy, no, we don't have time for this.
And I'm talking about the original version from the 70s, not the Will Ferrell travesty.
Oh, what are the 70s?
So do any of these fit together, Josh?
So they appear as if they all came from the same much larger object, but these don't it's kind of like if you take a gemstone and shatter it. Like there's facets.
We took 5 random pieces out of the puzzle box and somehow expected them to fit together.
Yeah, there's facets of them that you're like, okay, maybe these could align with each other, but it's not like they fit together or click together in any way. But you have
3.
If Ravik shows his as a group, you now possess 5 of these.
If
there's 5 of them,
we have 5 pieces of the Millennium Falcon Lego set, is what Josh is like.
No.
More like the Death Star Lego set.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Wow. Like from a much larger piece.
Who's going to hold on to them?
I could. I know how to work with metals and gems and stuff.
Works
I
for
think
me.
that's obvious.
Okay.
Yep.
So Ravik, you can remove it from your inventory, and Andalus, you can mark these as you possess 5 yellow motes. M-O-T-E-S.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I literally have a jeweler's kit, so this is fun.
You are the right person.
No, I literally was like, yeah, I actually should have. Okay. He gets up and he's just like, also, Andulus has like 7 health, so he does not look good either. So he's just like,
Lucky is out of any kind of healing. So.
And Bonnie used their last one to.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Let's try not to get in any more spider fights.
Do we want to sit down and take an hour's? Basically, do we want to take a short rest?
You guys can take a short rest here if you'd like.
Yeah.
Hit die.
Perform a ritual for 1 minute.
Let Andulus catch their breath.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you take an hour. You may roll your hit dice to regain any hit points that you like.
How do we do that again in D&D Beyond?
I can't remember.
Just near the top.
Yeah, just as a reminder that when
top.
you take a long rest, you only regain half of your hit dice that you've spent, or up to half of your hit dice. So if you've used more than half, tomorrow you won't have all of them.
Oh, let me see how this class does this.
Oh, it's part of hit dice now. That's awesome. Or part of the short rest thing.
Yeah.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see how many this class has.
Well, you have 3 for your level.
Yeah, we're level 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't change it on my sheet because it hates me. Yeah, we're rolling those.
Does Lucky need to use any, Josh?
No, I didn't target Lucky because Lucky wasn't here to be protected, but yeah. So I think didn't take any damage.
Why does my eye feel weird?
All right, I'm at 15 hit points now. How
15.
cool!
That's over half.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at 18, so we're
15 is better than 7.
Sure.
Yeah, at your level, that's only like that's 2 hits from something.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can survive the first one.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's that fucking spider.
Yeah, you guys are all just kind of sitting around as you rest and relax. The odd chamber, kind of your voices echoing around the chamber. The Zephyrsite vein catching the light from your torches or from the light spell.
Any loose chunks that are like not the size of boulders?
Ravik checked the Zephyrsite and it seemed like it was a solid vein. That there's like, in order to get any pieces off of it, you'd have to carve some out.
I want to go do my short rest like over near it too.
Okay. Anything particular you're looking for?
No, I'm just looking at it.
Yeah. It's difficult to tell how big it is. I mean, it's probably 20 or 30 feet wide. Hard to tell how deep it goes. It does narrow as it heads towards the northern end of the area. And there is a larger kind of darker blue chunk of it that goes into the wall where it then seems to go into an upward trajectory along the wall and then disappear into the mountain. Like going back towards deeper into the mountain away from the exit that you guys are in.
So this must be the part of the mountain that the giants keep talking about then, huh? It's where all its magical properties come from, all this Zephyrsite running through the mountain.
Would
I
make
can
sense.
certainly understand why.
Well, I guess we should
See
make
about
sure this
finding a
area is
way out.
protected.
All right. So you guys want to, you can go back the way you came, or you can go out the other exit if you like.
I'm curious.
Let's try the other
go out,
place
let's do
just to
exit. Yeah.
Okay.
What's out here?
So you kind of gather all your things, and you make your way out of the other exit, which kind of goes down, and then you get to the part, Kieran, where you saw there was a cave in or something where it seems like maybe an earthquake or something caused a shift in the structure of the rocks here, and a whole section of the roof of this cavern kind of collapsed inward, and then left an opening that connected to a depression on the outside. The interior here is probably 10 feet tall. So, I mean, not quite as tall as a giant, but a giant could crouch to walk through here if they wanted to. Would have to crawl over the rock mound on maybe their belly or knees, but then it opens up on the other side. On the other side of the rock, the moment your light hits, you hear the whispering sound of those black vines pulling away from the light that you saw in the forest. And you can tell that elements of them are growing from outside of the mountain and have been pushing inward towards the interior of the mountain, but here are kind of stopped by your light.
So these are more of those living plants, those living vines that are...
Yeah, the vines that you ran into.
Our first night.
Yes.
What time is it outside?
Let's see. You guys it was just after
morning.
Noon. It's probably approaching sunset at this point. You guys have probably been down in the mountain for 6 hours or so. So yeah, probably approaching sunset.
Honestly, poke head out long enough so we could take a bearing on the opening to let the giants know, and then come back in so that we're not in the middle of the forest in the middle of the night.
Out beyond this, you can tell that it doesn't go to the forest. So if you guys want to go all the way out to the exit, and you get to the part where this opening in the side of the mountain pops out, you're about halfway up the mountain, or maybe a quarter of the way up the mountain. So the forest is still below you. The vines seem to be growing up like the side of the mountain a little bit here, and are digging in from that direction as if they were heading in towards something.
So they're burrowing.
Yeah.
Maybe towards the Zephyr side. Can we tell, kind of get our bearings and tell, can we make it back to the village before it gets too dark? I'd rather us not be out in the wilderness.
Yeah, I feel like you could probably, based on your bearings of where the forest is, you are kind of at the back side of the mountain. But if you wind around to the front side, it probably take a couple hours. You would get to the point where the sun had set, but you would be back up towards the lower level of the plateaus where they had begun to kind of carve the village.
So safely out of shadow tendrils.
Yeah.
What's the terrain like near the hole? Is it just like flat ground with just a hole in it, or is there something that would make it easily recognizable?
So it is kind of like it's slightly depressed in the mountain, and there's an overhang. So you wouldn't be able to, like, if you were up on the mountain, looking down, you wouldn't see it. The hole is then depressed down into the mountain a little bit. So even if you were walking around from the vantage point from lower levels, it would merge in with the rock. There is like a hanging, like not Spanish moss, but there's moss hanging around the entrance, and there's a few bushes that are growing around it that are kind of some of the only plant life in this area this high up the mountain. So you could potentially identify it just by the location of bushes or flora.
So no burning the bushes.
While we're like planning and stuff, I like go up to Kieran and I'm like, Mr. Kieran.
Just Kieran.
Oh, that feels. But you're. Anyway, I made this for you, and he hands you. It's like a little. It's a little like metal keychain to put on your wood sword.
Okay.
To hang on it, and they're like little metal flowers on it that look like elderberry blossoms. And you can cast Cure Wounds for free once with it. Yeah, thanks for helping me earlier.
Oh, you're welcome. Got to watch after each other.
Okay, yeah. Cool, very cool. Do you guys need help through this forest?
You can always use your help.
Okay. Cool. I'm gonna since we're like high up, I'm gonna try to plot from up here like the best way through.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and make a survival check. Based
And
on where you
assist.
are. Yeah. Based on where you are and where you guys came up the mountain, you can probably find the best path.
Rolled a nat 20.
Nice. Yeah, so it's a little precarious of a walk. You could tell like this side of the mountain would be much more difficult to climb than the other side. It's there's many more kind of cliff faces and rocky screes that are you kind of step on them and they shift and you just watch small bits of rock tumble further down the mountain. But with Andalus's help guiding you through places of safe passage, you eventually work your way around to the front side and you can see the valley below with the forest where the ship is resting, 1,000 feet or so below you. And then catching around over to the pathway that leads up to the mountain. And after a couple of hours, you find yourself
Sorry, my headphones stopped working. One moment.
That's fine. A couple hours, you find yourself at the entranceway of the village of Maqda, as the sun is now set behind the horizon and the stars are beginning to come out. And you pass under that very familiar arched entranceway into the village.
And Josh, I will have been using my survival skill to make obvious marks on the trail, basically intentionally leaving tracks so that someone could follow our path back.
Yeah, sure. And you're proficient in that, so that would be easy enough for you to do. Mm-hmm.
Chalk, arrow. And Dualisite comes behind, rubs them off.
No.
Oh no. Ace's headphones.
Oh. Where's my video? So I think we should immediately report back to either what was the name of the
Trame? Or Skarda?
Skarda.
Trame, right? It was Trame.
Trame's the leader, and then Skarda's like basically like the head of the guard of the mountain. Yeah.
If it's too late, if Trame's doing the ceremony, right? They're the one
they
tied
would
up with that.
Well, they would do the ceremony if it weren't being interrupted. Trame is the one that you met, like his Dream Strider is like the chief of the village, basically. And when you met them was kind of racked with an inability to sleep and an inability to dream, which is how they connect with the mountain. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
maybe they'll get a good night's sleep tonight.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go help
go ahead and let her.
Okay, we'll take a moment and get them set up with that. You are all back in the village. You're kind of walking into the entrance of the village. You were deciding who you were going to report to, so it's kind of
and I'm sure I did a really cool roll. Very cool, good. Get us through forest. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And Dualisite seems cheered up because Kieran was kind to him. So he confidently takes you through. He still calls you Mr. Kieran, though.
That's all right. Me and Dottie have an understanding.
Dottie just cocks her head to the side.
Dottie was straight up with me. I was straight up with Dottie.
I think Bonnie's the only person who hasn't figured out yet that Dottie can talk.
You heard screaming. You were like, "What was that?"
Yeah, you heard
I didn't
Dottie
see
scream.
who was.
Yeah, but you don't know who it was. Yeah.
I don't know who was yelling.
That's
It's gonna be that meme. It's like everybody's talking about Dottie like they're a person, and I'm too scared to ask at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Oh, you kids and your memes."
No. Can we make our way to Truda?
Trome?
To see that Trudy?
Trome?
Yes, Trame.
Okay.
So I'm saying the same thing you're saying. I don't know what you're.
Yeah. All right. So you make your way through the village to the center court area where the Dreamstrider's stone complex was, and you there's no door to knock at, so you can just pull the intricate, design to the side, and you see Trame sitting in her meditative pose at the back of the chamber. Still sitting down. She's 8 feet tall on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and she's kind of in a meditative moment. But the moment that you can see her eyes open and she looks out to each of you. I think that you may have been successful. Am I correct?
We hope so.
Certainly feels that way. Yes.
The mountain doesn't seem to be in turmoil anymore. What did you do?
Well, it looked like someone had deliberately sabotaged your shrine. We have the device with us. If you see anything like this ever again, you just be sure to get rid of it.
Okay.
Don't smash it though. I hear that's a bad thing to do.
You present the device to Trauma, and the moment you kind of like walk close to her with it, she kind of holds up her hand and keeps you at an arm's length. And you found this in the mausoleum?
We found it in a passage below the mausoleum.
There's another complex underneath the one you know about.
It seems far older than yours.
There's more to the mountain. It's difficult for us to explore much of it, but... And
there's a back entrance you should know about.
Could you describe its location? I'll send Skarda there to investigate. And
I'll get Andula site to help describe where it is.
Good job getting here. It's like, you go the third bush and
yeah.
That's how you know me.
Yeah.
I'm just curious for myself. What do you all know about Zephyrstite, Bluestone?
She's still very much studying the object that was put in front of her. When you say Zephyrstite, she looks up from the object. That name doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, it's a bluestone. Has magical properties. Oh yeah, I do have a. Looks a lot like this, and I'll show her the.
You hold it up, and she says, "That's the heart of the mountain." Where did
That's what I figured.
There's at the summit of the peak where we do the rite of Orogenesis. There's a protrusion of the heart is there, and that's allows me to connect with the mountain's energies. But you found this object near the heart?
Shrine.
We found a pretty healthy vein of Zephyrstite. I'll say this is pretty valuable stuff back where we come from.
Dangerous.
Honestly, if I had been a different man in my old life, I would have already been in the process of selling this off for a hefty profit. But something that you all might want to take measures to protect if this mountain is so important to you.
Well, we found the other thing. There was a vein. It's almost like the root of a tree. Starting to go into the wall and up. So maybe the other end of the heart.
All of
and
the heart
the
is connected.
nasty shadow things are growing towards it. I don't think it would be good if they found it.
She is kind of taking in all of this. I believe that the shadows were given purchase because of this. And she points to the object.
Mm-hmm.
This is it is a type of magic that I'm quite familiar with. The runes
Really?
are giant in origin. They look very similar to something a stone giant may make, but corrupted.
Could a stone giant have made something so fragile and small? Or was it somebody using their knowledge?
Perhaps. There's another tribe of giants across high wall on the northern side of the range there. This bears some of the same construction of some of the markers they use in their village.
Would they want to harm your village?
I wouldn't think
Are
so.
they enemies or?
No, they're brothers and sisters. The vein of our mountain runs through the entire continent and connects to a vein in theirs. At least, in the legend of the power of the earth.
Maybe they wanted the whole mountain.
For what purpose?
Or maybe someone's trying to drive off both of you and they've got their own one of these there that they're having to deal with.
I mean, is there anyone else that you giants trade with or partner with that would have access to your magic, your traditions?
No, no one else comes up to the village. We occasionally interact with the tribes of the valley, trading goods and grains and food. But none that we've interacted with that would, I think, would seek to cause us harm.
I'm just going to be honest. You were pretty accepting of us coming onto this island, not knowing a lot about us. I mean, you're
To which we are grateful.
very grateful. That is very true, Karen.
But Ravik has a point.
I think it could be someone who wants you to believe it's that other giant tribe.
Perhaps.
Exactly.
I can study the runes a little more closely and perhaps pick up on a signature of the type of caster that used this.
Yeah, actually, how big is it, John? Like, I know you said it's like the size of a bread box,
In
but like
their hands, it's probably like they can very comfortably hold it in one hand.
But does it look too small for them to have done any of the fine detail work?
So, if a giant were to have done the fine detail work on this, it would be the equivalent of
Fabergé egg.
Yeah, like it would be, or even, like those people who carve whole designs into like pencil lead. Like not something impossible for a giant to have done, but something
very specialized.
Very specialized and very difficult. Now, there's nothing saying that, I mean, you have seen the workings of magic that have summoned runic structures into the ether. You've watched as magic users have impressed runic into something in the casting of a spell. It could be something like that too. But
especially through crafting. But
if this was
work.
hand carved, it wouldn't be impossible. It'd be very difficult, but it could have been spell work.
And is there anybody in our party or in the ship's party that could determine if it was spell work or hand carved?
You have the Arcanist. You could talk
I have
to,
a list.
You could talk to Weller, or you could talk to Shara. They're arcanists in training. You could also ask Admus K, who's like the linguist historian, and he's not a mage himself, but he has a deep knowledge of magic. He's kind of the trainer. He's training Weller and Shara.
With your permission, Trami, I'd like to have a couple of people look at this.
I don't think there's any need for us to hold on to it. It cursed our village. I would prefer it not to stay.
We can
We'll
hold on
have
to
it
it.
Yeah, we'll have it removed. I'll take it to have Weller look at it.
Okay.
No, Shara.
Yeah, let's take it to Shara. Let's see what they have to say
Weller my
about it.
Every
ass.
time you say Weller, I picture Peter Weller.
It's RoboCop.
Who was the arcanist? What was their name?
So
Cadmus.
Admus K.
Cadmus.
Admus K. He's the linguist and historian, but he's
also the arcanist.
He's training Weller and Shara to become arcanists. So he has enough knowledge about magic. He himself is not a mage. He's like, he probably has the skills to have become a mage, but he was much more like, I want to read books about things. I don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring Admus K in on it as well.
I want to write a biography of Einstein, not learn physics.
Right, yeah. So you have to have like an understanding of Einstein's thoughts and ideas. You don't have to practice physics. Yeah.
So he's kind of like Bertrand Russell.
Yeah.
I will take it to Shara at the request of my compatriots.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, and Trame says, with this complete, we can reconsecrate the mountain and perform the rite of orogenesis. As those who made it happen, I would love to offer you the pleasure of seeing it in action.
I
That'd
for
be an
one
honor.
would be honored to join
mean,
in
you
on
would,
your ritual.
A great privilege.
It'll take me approximately 2 moons to get everything together, so not tomorrow, but the next day. If you'll join me, we'll go to the summit and perform the ritual there.
The summit, you say?
Yeah, the peak of the mountain.
Can we bring a viewing glass with us?
Absolutely.
It's a good vantage point. I figure we'll want to
Yeah,
really
it's,
explore, look around while we're up there.
Yeah, this isn't the tallest mountain in this mountain range, but it is the tallest this far down the mountain range. More of the taller peaks are further up. So this is probably the tallest mountain on the southern peninsula of High Wall, so it would give you a very good vantage point of the area
And
around.
when you say mountain range, are you referring more to the Appalachian or more to the Rocky Mountains?
So these mountains are probably somewhere between those. So like you're high enough up that the tree line is broken, but you're not so high up that it's like snowy or frozen cold a lot of the year. Now the mountains on the northern side of High Wall are much younger and so are therefore much taller. These mountains are probably, if like an average Appalachian mountain is like 6,000 feet, you guys are probably 8,000 feet up or so. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We
All right.
to
To the Arcanist we go.
Okay. So you bid Trame farewell. You head out and to the space where most of the crew of the ship are resting in the evening. Admus was injured, and he was one of those the injured people, and so he's kind of laid up in the chamber, currently eating some light food that's been provided by the stone giants, as I think everyone else is probably coming up from the mountain, or from where they were working at the ship, probably at this point. Rowan Glade, the healer, the druid figure, is there, and he's tending to the wounds on Admis, like reapplying bandages. But it seems like everyone else is kind of out of the space at this point.
So he is up to assisting us.
Yeah, he's just like eating like a stone bowl of soup and some bread and some various vegetables. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's bring him in on this as well. Is Sharda around anywhere? Or no, what's her name?
Shara.
Shara.
Shara's not in here at the moment. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'll go looking for her.
Okay, you head out of the mountain. Most of the crew is down towards the ship, Kieran. So if you want to walk in that direction, you can. You don't have to make an investigation check. It's a path, but it will probably take you. It's probably take you 30 or 40 minutes to get to a point where you could see if they're coming up the mountain or if they're still down at the ship. But you can walk out to do that as everyone else is. Go ahead.
I figure my knowledge base is not going to be helpful here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that I'm the best person to see if I can go round Shara up.
Yeah, absolutely. But the rest of you are there as Admis is slurping on this soup.
Admis, we had a pretty interesting discovery while we were out. Want to know if you were up to taking a look at an artifact.
Oh, your name was what again?
Ravik. I'm Ravik.
Ravik. Seaborn, of course. Yes, of course. Ah, yes. Has half sea elven from the Vanishing Isles. Is that correct?
That is my background. Yes, sir. Impressive you remembered that.
Yes, your caster class, although you don't seem to wield very much magic normally.
That is a personal choice for the most part, but that's not really why we had come to speak to you. Mine like a steel trap, I see. That's impressive.
Hasn't aged a day since I was 27 years old. The body doesn't keep up, but the mind pushes forward.
He was this old at 27.
The mind is 20.
Isn't it all about the mind, right? What we can remember. I know that firsthand. Listen, there's this item. Bonnie, do you mind?
Yes, sure. Here you go.
We were trying to figure out what these runes mean, and
we're also trying to see if they were magically created or if they were done by hand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I can probably help with that. Have you seen my spectacles?
They're on your face.
No, these are my seeing spectacles. I need my reading spectacles.
No, they're on your head.
He reaches up. I was reading the poetry of dwarves earlier, and you quite need the poetry of dwarves. You have to look so closely at it because they're so precise in their writing, but broad in their understanding, of course. Yes, he changes out his glasses, and he's looking at it. You can tell these glasses like make his eyes like look 3 times larger in his face. And he's examining the thing. He says, "Oh yes, giant. Yes, giant text, giant runes. Yes. Okay. So these are symbols of death.
Oh my, okay.
Shadow.
Well, that makes sense. It was a burial ground.
Absolutely. Now the dialect is stone giant in origin, but something odd about it. You found this here in the village?
This was in the mountain itself.
Within the mountain itself. Well, from what I can see, the carvings were made by not giant hands, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So there were hand-carved runes, not by giants?
Yes, but the magic itself is giant in origin. Would be quite
Okay.
easy enough for a giant to tell someone, especially since these seem to have been carved by a witch.
A witch, you say?
A witch.
Yeah.
Well, you don't see many witches around. Well, I mean, never been to this continent, so maybe it's more common than you think, huh?
Well, there are witches everywhere. It would be quite simple for a practitioner of such hedge magicry as this to exist in a space. But there are a coven of witches that exist, and one very powerful one exists here on the continent of Highwall, as we are to be believed in our understanding of it.
Is that witch close by? Near the village here?
I'm quite uncertain. The cartography of the continent has shifted and changed, I assume, since the Veil subsumed this area. Was towards the northern side of the continent for some while. Her name was Thelindra. She had an epitaph, but I'm not sure if I can remember what it was. What?
How would you spell
he is not listening because he's now looking for a book.
Yeah.
He's trying to find a book in his pack. And you can see like his pack, like when it was like, get off the boat, save what you can, is just books, like all books, no changes of clothes, nothing. Is just book. And he's going through and like throwing books onto the bed and trying to pull things out. And finally he grabs one and he pulls it up. He says, yes. Coven witchcraft, hedges, hedge mages, warlocks. Why are warlocks on here? Yes. Yes. Thelindra. Yes. Her epitaph is not here, but she is a witch of endless passions and delights, and also wrathful vengeance and fury.
Delights and fury and wrath.
Yeah, she likes to make deals with lovers and also those jilted by love.
Powerful witch makes deals with lovers.
Yeah, what was her name again?
Thelindra.
Thelindra. The Linda.
With lovers and scorn lovers?
Yes.
Well,
they say there's a thin line between love and hate, and it seems that Thelindra likes to walk the line very tightly.
I really need to watch more of Agatha all along.
Oh my God, you do.
Yes.
Patty LaPone chewing that scenery like there's nobody's business.
She's Patty.
If you're going to need somebody to do it, why not get somebody who's good
Patty.
at it?
Yep.
They apparently wanted to trim back that dialogue, and she's like, no, I want to say everything on the page. And she's Patty LaPone, so they just went, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she, I wonder if we mention this name to Jean Strider, if she would recognize it, or
She already
have they had
knows.
dealings?
She already knows Thelindra.
She does. How do you know that she knows Thelindra?
Dottie pecks your foot.
Ow.
Andalus.
Okay, yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
We're just gonna.
Anyway, she's dangerous.
While there was a pause in the story, Admus goes, actually, a fun thing about witches that you should probably know is that they tend to pass on their knowledge quite freely to those who would like to learn it. I would not say that this is the handiwork of Thelindra. It's quite vulgar in its creation, and she and most witches tend to be more precise.
So this is someone who's learned from a witch, but is not a member of the coven.
Perhaps. creatures.
Or they're a really shitty witch. Could just be a bad witch. Someone who's really bad at being a witch.
Well, and Dulicide, I don't. Do you know something about this, the Lindra, or?
All right, Rob.
I'm just looking at
Limbs
Josh's
followers?
complete lack of expression during that whole thing, and it's just like, is he gonna react to that? Nope,
Nope.
nope,
Mhm.
nope,
Admus
not
isn't.
biting.
Admus isn't
Just let
reacting.
it, he's
so-
just gonna let it. Let that one go.
I mean,
And Dulicide. Could you
I-
shed some light onto?
no, I just know a little bit about witches. That's it. 14
that-
deception.
Oh God, insight check. It's not.
Yeah,
gonna-
I don't roll well at deception, so I'm surprised you rolled even that.
Josh, can I this
Oh.
Admus K, right?
Admus K, yeah. Mhm.
That's
Admus
fine.
K, can I borrow that witch book you got?
I haven't had the proper ability to set up a library yet, so there's not a checkout system.
Oh my goodness.
Everything
Oh,
must
wait.
be accounted for, Ravik.
I completely agree.
Mm.
Damn.
Books
Let's see.
are important. Everything else on the ship could burn, but we must maintain the books and the knowledge.
Well, what
I rolled
if
an insight on Andulicide. I got a 12 on the dice, 15 total. Is Andulicide holding back a little bit here?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, obviously. Okay.
You don't know. I think with that, you don't
I'm not
know. I mean, you
Not
just
at a
get
time.
I'm
that
not going to
sense.
call anything out. I'm not
Just-
going to call
yeah.
anything out here, but
I mean, you can,
It's
but
not telling the whole of what they know.
the whole
Yeah.
truth.
Mhm.
Yeah.
but you say that I know a little bit about witches.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I think if Bonnie could borrow that book, that would be a huge help.
If
I
he
would
wants to set up
need
a
some collateral.
Okay, let me see what I've got. How
Hey, Bonnie,
about
see if you can get the book on warlocks too, just in case. You might
hey,
wanna-
you fork over something you got if you're looking for a warlock book.
The
I'm
warlock,
trying to
there was a
read
warlock chapter in this book for some reason. It was a fault on the writer's behalf. Probably just a wizard who assumed that anyone who practiced magic that wasn't wizardry deserved to be all lumped into the same category. As we all know that warlocks are quite different. Very similar to clerics, although don't allow me to catch anyone saying that. It's quite heretical. Making a partnership or a pact with someone. Making a bargain, as it were. For
I'm gonna
powers.
hand over my
Pretty,
halberd.
You hand it over. What is this worth to me?
Well-
It's worth something to me, which is the point of collateral.
Oh, no. Collateral is, for a man who deals in knowledge. A secret from the borrower. If you do not return the book, I will publish the secret.
What?
Yeah, libraries.
Okay, that seems fair.
Now, which one of you is borrowing the book?
I'm borrowing
Bonnie.
the book.
Bonnie.
I'm borrowing the book if and Bonnie's gonna look at the rest of the party and be like, if you all could just step outside for just a second, I'm gonna share a little secret with them here.
Sure.
Sure. I mean,
Skadoodle out.
have your privacy.
Yes, Bonnie.
Type your secret to the DM.
Yeah, you can type it to me if you don't want anybody to hear you say it.
No, I'll say it.
But none of the characters hear this. Yeah.
Oh,
Nope, none of the
juicy!
characters
I
did it.
love. Some
I'm halfway
players
down the
knowledge
mountain.
versus
Yeah.
character
Did Dottie
knowledge.
leave the room? Because Bonnie doesn't know that Dottie is.
Oh,
Dottie can decide that.
Let's see.
Let her
If-
choose.
If I see a chicken just standing there watching me, I'm gonna say shoo.
no.
Dottie rolled to and left with everyone else.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Bonnie's gonna lean down And the matronly visage is going to like drop entirely. And she's going to say, my real name is Brunhilde Morkblood.
He's writing Brunhilde Maqda. Is that spelled with 2 Ks or 1?
That's with 1K.
1 K. Thank you. Okay. Mm-hmm. An
There's
umlaut?
a T there.
Is there an
It's
umlaut?
it's a silent T. It's a silent T. It's
Oh.
Morktblod.
Okay. Interesting spelling. Veltland, if I'm not incorrect in the location, are the outer wilds of the Veltland.
Yes.
And Brunhilde Marklet?
That's it.
That's your secret for this valuable tome.
There's some people who would love to know where that person is.
That's better. And he hands you the book.
All right, cool. But I've got the book now.
Mhm.
Like, if anybody was like eavesdropping, like Bonnie wasn't lowering her voice.
No, I wasn't eavesdropping. I let Ravik do whatever he wants, but I wasn't eavesdropping. I will judge you. I will stare at you and judge you if you eavesdrop. But
I mean, hey,
I won't stop.
Ravik's never been, deceptive about his deception, if that makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
He's obviously deceptive.
I'm gonna try to listen, but stealthily, and I rolled an 18 on the dice, so a not natural 20.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, you hear it.
Yeah, you hear what Bonnie says. Mhm.
Does anybody else notice me sort of listening out?
I mean, if
I
Andalus
might,
is standing
If you just
next
said you're
to
not,
you,
if you just
I
said
feel
you're not
like
deceptive about your
I would have
deception.
gone
No,
out of earshot, so I feel like I still see him standing close enough to hear.
yeah,
it, right?
you see Ravik standing close enough. Don't know whether or not he
Yep,
hears.
that's
or
fine.
not,
No,
but yeah.
You look back and you just see me looking at you.
Were you doing like the Parisian
just wave.
mime, like
I shake my head at you.
up against the...
No, he's doing the lean, like the casual. That's why it's so good.
Mhm.
He looks so
Like
natural.
slides down the wall a little bit.
Yeah, Andulus just shakes his head at you as you do that.
Robert's pretty open. I mean, he's never lied to anyone. You guys have just never taken the time to ask him.
Hey, Han Solo is a proud smuggler.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I'm not judging you.
So as Bonnie calls for you all to come back inside, Kieran, back down on the mountain, you walk for about 30 minutes or so, long enough for this conversation to have happened with Cadmus or Admus, and you start to see torchlight coming up the path as the captain, along with most of the rest of the crew, are leaving the valley that gets dangerous at night and are coming up the mountain. And the captain sees you. He says, Kieran, good to see you. How did your day in the mountain go?
Deep but productive.
Do you think that the giants here are going to give us a place to stay, or are we going to need to find a more permanent home?
I think they will be happy with the way things worked out.
Oh, good. I went through my quarters and removed any of the valuables today. This was for your team. And he hands you what looks to be a metal clasp structure, metallic with kind of a carving on the lid, but it has a hinged lid top.
Okay. What is it?
You pop it open and it is a compass.
Mm.
But what you notice about it is like as Remy is walking next to you, the compass is pointing at him.
Interesting.
I I just thought it would be the best insult in the world to hand someone a compass and then tell them to get lost.
No. Yeah.
Here, let me help you.
But the compass is pointing directly at him. And like, if you gonna stop to look for Shara, as he moves ahead and leaves the crowd, the compass always is following and points at him. He calls back. Kieran, it's a true compass. It goes to the lodestone. And he kind of takes a stone out of his pocket, and you can see he's carrying some kind of stone that has runic markers on it, and he puts it back into his pocket.
I just nod at him and keep looking for Shara.
Shara is walking up a few moments later next to Weller, and Weller is going, "Look, Shara, if you really must know."
That is totally fascinating, Weller. Shara, a word with you. And I just completely step in between them to have my back to him and bring her up to date on finding the vein of Zephyrite, the thing coming in, the black goo, and the point of all of it, the totem that was apparently causing the bad juju, and how the rest of the party is talking with Cadmus, and would love her thoughts on what it might be and what she can tell about it, and any other things she can discern from it.
Okay. She goes, "Oh, well, this seems quite important, Kieran. I have to go with Kieran to, I will be not back." And she follows you back towards the thing. So about 30 minutes later.
I just pat Weller on this thing. That's a good lad. And just go.
Yeah. Let's see.
I will be not back. Jeez.
Not back. All right. All right. So she kind of follows you back. So eventually, Kieran and Shara arrive back with the group. And Bonnie and Alyssa and Ravik, if you return back into the chamber with Admes, or if you're standing outside, it's up to you. But eventually they all arrive back together.
I've gotten
Shara.
Shara up to speed on on our adventures so far.
And I will
I got
update everybody.
spine.
About you have the book now? Good. All right. So Shara says, well, I'm not sure if I can tell you anything more than Admis told you about the object. I don't have access. There's a spell that my brother was working on. It's quite complicated, and he probably won't have it for some time. That will work beyond simply identifying information about it. I can identify the object, and I can tell you what it is exactly. I can tell you if there's still any spellcraft or spell work on it, but I can't tell you who made it.
Well, we don't need to know who made it per se. Is the type of person that would make it? Was it hand-carved? Was it put in by magic? Was the magic from a mage, a warlock, a sorcerer, a cleric, a druid, some random poet? I'm trying to think if I left out any magic casting. Rangers, paladins.
She kind of says, well, I could, well, and she casts identify on the spell, on the object. This is a beacon.
A beacon?
Yes, it's its purpose is to call to the shadows. To bring them somewhere. The magic on this is giant in origin. But not any type of giant that I know. It doesn't look like stone giant magic. It's not frost or fire, cloud, storm. It's a corruption of something.
That makes sense.
But that's what it does. So
corrupts.
It is
Count
calling.
the tendrils.
It is calling to what is left of the veil that still seeps into this landscape.
That gives me the creeps.
It was drawing them towards a vein of Zephyrsite.
That would. Who knows what they could accomplish if they were to get their hands on something so powerful?
Well, we sort of warned the Dream Strider, let her know that the Zephyr site where it was and exactly what it is. So hopefully we can help the giants sort of keep it safe. Keep an eye on that area.
Yes. But the bigger question is, who on this continent would want to do all of this?
Hmm.
Who on this continent would want to shoot a perfectly fine dirigible out of the air?
Well, Dream Strider
Maybe that-
couldn't think of anyone.
Well, I know we owe a visit to the people who shot us down. For multiple reasons.
I'll
First,
hardly agree.
because they shot us down. Second, if we're to get out of here or go anywhere else on the continent, we need the ship. Which means we need to take the things that shot us down out of the equation.
Well, that's... From what Remy said, it seems like that's from the northern side of the island. From what you've said, from what Chome discussed, it seems that there's much happening on the north side of the island.
We'll have to make our way up there eventually. That was part of our plans.
I do think we need to pay them a visit.
Shara seems kind of in thought, trying to piece together the elements.
Lucky, what do you think?
Lucky's
would-
asleep.
Yeah.
Rolled a
Which-
natural
Jesus
20.
Christ.
Lucky's asleep.
Mhm.
So is
At the
Admus.
DM nat 20.
Yeah.
I'll
We're gonna
go.
do.
I'll go talk to the dream speaker and catch her up. If y'all have anything else you want to do,
You mind if I join you?
I do mind. I should go.
Oh, well, hey, that's
Do you
I can
remember?
understand
I like tap the chestnut. You
I
forgot
can
what.
understand you want some one-on-one time with the Dream Strider. You go right ahead.
All right.
I scoot.
All right. So Andal is heading to the Dreamstarter Trent. The rest of you, as the evening progresses, anything that you're accomplishing?
I'm
Does-
actually gonna make my way to Admis K and strike up a conversation very nonchalantly about his collection of texts, specifically the warlock text that he has.
Well, so the Warlock text that he mentioned was a chapter in the book that Bonnie got.
Oh, it was in the
Bonnie
box. I
has
thought you
it.
said it was
Now,
something.
you could ask him if he has other books on Warlocks, but that
Sure,
he was
yeah.
going through the book and mentioned Warlocks, but it was in the chapter of it's a chapter in the book that Bonnie grabbed.
Okay, gotcha. Maybe I'll hook up with Bonnie and see what we can look through the book and figure out.
Okay.
Does Dottie go with Andalus?
Yeah, she goes everywhere with me, pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bonnie, do you show Ravik the book?
If you ask nicely.
I'll ask nicely.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Jointly, as you're flipping through
Yeah.
it, make an investigation check. One of you can do it with advantage since you're both working together on it. Andalus.
Um,
Oh, go ahead, Ravik.
I was Well, I do have proficiency in investigation. I don't know why, but
You have more than I do, then, so I will let you make the the two rolls.
Well, if he's interested in the stuff on warlocks, it makes sense that he'd be the one looking for it. So,
Yep.
well, damn. A 9.
A 9.
Robert's got this thing where,
Rough.
9 with advantage.
yeah.
Ooh,
There's no picture.
I'm gonna admit to Bonnie that I've got this thing. I kind of I don't want to get too deep into it, but sometimes this book learning stuff these days is a little bit harder for me. So maybe we'll come back to this another day, where I'm not as jazzed up after a day of fighting off spiders and whatnot.
Oh, that's okay, Ravik. I just wanted to get myself a little something for nighttime reading.
Yeah. You guys spend.
If you find anything interesting, just let me know. All right?
Well, because you enrolled an investigation check, you did spend some time reading into it. The stuff that you find, I mean, it's a fairly large tome, and what you find is mostly very generalized. And whoever wrote this had a very basic understanding of different types of magic, and it is clear that the types of magic discussed in this book are magics that the author didn't respect, and that tone comes out very clearly. So there's a chapter on sorcery, there's a chapter on warlocks, clerics, paladins. They all have their own chapter in this book. Anybody who's not a wizard, anybody who didn't work for their magic. The warlock chapter, you struggle to find it because it's a very tiny chapter and there's no table of contents. But you do discover the witch chapter. And if you want to dive into that at all with a 9, it would be very simple to get some information out of that.
I can't try again for the witch chapter.
Yeah, I mean, if Bonnie's interested in the witch chapter, like it would be another hour of reading after. This is like in the first hour of you two kind of fighting over flipping through the book and reading through and finding information, what you would have discovered already. But with a 9 as the roll that you guys made together, you would get a little information now, but it's not like the book's going anywhere. You could dig into it better. So what you do discover is that there is a coven of witches called the Circle of Six. And all that this author seems to know about them is very basic information. Their names and kind of the domain that they oversee in the world of witchcraft. They don't have a lot of information beyond that. But there's more to the chapter than what you get to. This is like the family tree at the beginning of a genealogy book, right? Like the chapter's fairly long, but this is just like the circle. So Circle of Six, there's Elisande, and she seems to be very much about nature, the natural world. There's Thelindra, who is the one who balances between love and hate. There's Morasand, who is the ocean and waves and water. There's Astrid, who seems to be obsessed with the heavens, the stars, planets, things like that. Tempestia, who is a witch of storms and gales. And Morgana, who is associated with death and dying and the spiritual world.
It's also in a cabinet arcade game.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
Morgana seems pretty interesting for what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
What was her stick again, Josh?
Morgana is like is a master of the dead, but also the relationship between the spirits, the spiritual world, and like death and what comes and what's beyond, death and beyond. Mm-hmm.
The veil.
Yeah.
Who was witch number 4 after the
Astrid, Astrid is the witch of heavens, like stars, planets, other planes of existence.
We've got Alessandra,
Elisande.
Elisande.
Yeah, Thalindra.
Thalindra.
Morisande.
Morisandre.
No, just Morisande.
Okay, so I'm spelling this all like I imagine it.
Yeah, Elisande, Thalindra, and then Morisande or Morisand is the storm, or is the delusion stream, like the water. Astrid, Tempestia, and Morgana. This book also was written probably 40 years ago, 50 years ago. It's a fairly old text.
I'll bet Morisande and Tempestia either get along perfectly or hate each other. It's like no middle ground.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the person who wrote this is clearly like compiling information that they've gathered from somewhere else or like hearsay, but they've got names, right? You'd have to dig more into the rest of the witches chapter to see if they have an understanding of what witchcraft actually is, what its impact is, or its relationship with the rest of the world.
This is all real because I read it on the wall of a bathroom in.
Yeah. But as you guys are reading through, Kieran, anything that you were doing with your evening? All right, as you're just kind of hanging with Rodney and filling in your day with him, Andalus, you walk into Trame's tent, or not tent, stone structure, and Trame is eating for the first time. You've seen her kind of in a relaxed state. And she's eating, and she looks up and acknowledges your entrance. Welcome back, Andalus. Is there something I can do for you?
I just wanted to talk about that first item.
Curse. What do you know about curses?
A few things, but do you think Thalindra, one of her followers, did this?
No. It doesn't reek of such petty magics as wistful love or vengeance.
You're right. It's a different mark.
Not that she isn't powerful, and not that she couldn't. I don't know. Whoever put this together was using skills of witchcraft, coupled with magics from my people. They're obsessed with death and shadow.
They were corrupted.
Yeah. There are stories of stone giants who have lost their rooting in the earth. If you have abandoned the thing that tethers you to the entire ancestry of spirit of your people, and you become unmoored, you become something else. There are stories of
a monster.
Yeah, kind. There are stories of cloud giants who've abandoned the skies, of fire giants who allowed their hearts to grow cold, of ice giants who embraced the heat of the flame, who all became something else. It's a story we tell our children to keep them on the path. But perhaps not just a legend.
I'm worried because it was a beacon.
Calling to the shadows?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about what was here before the 9?
I don't remember a lot.
There was a chaotic world of every element. It's interesting how the 9 modeled the Anakim after those elements. Air, fire, earth, water. There was a 5th.
Fifth element?
Death.
I hate both of you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Be serious, you movie fuckers.
I'm sorry. I'm doing the last Airbender in my mind after the 4 elements.
Yeah.
Oh no, I was imagining Bruce Willis and.
Excuse me,
No,
it's
I
my
know.
scene.
Yeah.
Excuse
I know.
me, my
I'm
scene.
sorry.
Excuse
I'm
me.
sorry.
There was a 5th.
Death.
And just as there are elementals of all types, there was an elemental of death. If we were modeled after them, what could we then become?
Yeah. That's really heavy. Right. I'm not super good with any of this, but if we figure out how to help more, we will.
Well, I don't think you have anything to worry from your sister.
Of relation.
Not in biological terms.
No,
But she may know something. She might be worth talking to.
okay. I can try.
I hope you get the heart and not the dagger.
I certainly hope so. It seems like I get the dagger a lot. Okay. Thank you.
She nods. And as Angelus leaves and the night comes for each of you, knowing that you are joining Trame for the ritual of Orogenesis in 2 days, and the establishment of a home here for your ship, that's where we'll pick up next week.
Yay!
Yay!
It's Halloween.